right, good morning. Welcome back out to the shop. Well, yesterday we got the welding table all assembled and welded. We tacked it together, we welded it together. It's come out pretty daggone flat. Put my good crick level across the top of it, and there's just a little sag in the middle. And I mean little. So I'll get some feeler gauges and I'll get up under there and check it. But today's task is to go ahead and put the legs on it, and we want it adjustable. So what we did was I mounted it or hung it up on the gantry crane, and I have 5 different chairs in the shop. That's just random places in the shop, and we wanted a way to adjust it. Thought about some, kind of hydraulic thing or something like that. And then in the end scheme of it all, just tubes that slide into each other with holes. So we figured out the heights we like. The lowest height we liked was 30 inches, and it works good for some office chairs that are in here. I don't ever throw away any of that's from the house. I always bring them out here, and that's what we use them for shop chairs until they just can't hold up in here. And then we have an old wooden chair that my wife's father built way back in the day. This used to be his woodworking shop, and he run his business out of here. So that chair, and then we have just 2 stationary chairs, a couple roll-around stools, and some higher bar stools. So we figured out the range we liked was between 30 and 46. So you could stand up, and we didn't think we would like it really high, but it's kind of nice. You can rest your arms right on it and just move on. It's right in this area here. So 30 to 46 in 4-inch increments. So 30, 34, 38, 42, and 46. So we'll drill 5 holes in the outer sleeve. So we're going to put 2-inch tube in the corners, 29 inches tall, because our lowest height is 30. So, just 1 inch of that inner leg sticking down. So we'll cut 4 of those 29, go up 4 inches from the end of that and drill a hole in all the legs. And that will be where a pin would stick through. We'll do that. We'll run some 1 3/4 runners on 3 sides, because I want the one side open for, so you can roll up under it. So we got 3 sides of that, 1 3/4. So we got 2-inch tubes for the legs. I think it's 90 wall, or 090 wall, I should say. And then 1 3/4 090 wall to go for the stretchers in between. And then we have 090 1 3/4 that'll slide down into the tube. And then we'll drill that. I'll figure out what the height is. So I want it 30 inches from the top here. So we'll figure that. And we'll probably weld a pad in there like that. We thought about casters, but we really don't want it rolling around. So what I intend to do is get some fixed casters, and we'll mount it on the side of the legs. I don't have those yet, but if you can imagine, the leg will come up here, and then we'll mount the caster off to the side and at the same height as the bottom. So you can use it like a dolly. You would just pick it up, and it would engage the casters, and then you could roll around. So you only have to pick it up a little bit to roll it around. But anyway, that's the plan. So I want to get the metal cleaned and cut and prepped for Mike, so all he has to do is weld. So with that, we're going to go to the back of the shop. I'll show you the saw that I like to use. I'm hesitant to show it a lot on film because it's an old 8-inch miter box. Just a wood cutting miter box. It's old. I've had this thing for years, and with the advance of the saw blade technology and those Diablo blades, I just tried it. And ever since then, I don't hardly ever use the bandsaw anymore. That Diablo blade on that saw does a great job. So, you just got to work, chip management, with anything, wood, metal, whatever. The chip management is the biggest thing. So, definitely gloves and safety glasses are a must back there when using it, but it makes short work. And some of the products that we build, require 22.5-degree angles. And cutting those on a bandsaw, it's tedious. This thing, man, it'll knock that thing out in 15 seconds. Just whoop. It's just like cutting wood. So I use it all the time. So I'll show you how I have it set up, and we have 0 issues in probably 2 years that it's been back there. So no issues at all. Love that thing. So anyway, we'll put a camera in the back, and we'll get to start cutting on this. Bring you right back.
So this is an old Ryobi chop saw that I've had. I probably had it, 20 years or so. It used to sit underneath the bottom of the bench. I was really getting ready to throw it out. And I said, you know what? I wonder if one of those new Diablo blades would work on it. So I bought one and mounted it on on this bench right next to where the bandsaw used to sit, and it hasn't left. It's worked great. So it's been there for 2 years, and I use it just pretty much like a wood chop saw. So here I am. I marked the distance that I needed to cut, and I'm just getting it close right here, and I'm going to set a stop block on the opposite side fence so I can just repeat the measurements. And this is not sped up. This is just normal time. This is a 2-inch 090 wall steel tubing. It leaves a very good cut, and it's very quick. And I like the way it cuts, so that's what we use. So we'll knock these 4 pieces out, and then we'll move to the front of the shop and move on to the next step. So we moved it back up to the front tool bench, and here I am just marking out where the 1/2-inch holes will go. So I'm just using a big blue Sharpie to use as Dicam or some kind of marking fluid. So I'm just marking 4 inches, and this just helps, makes it easier to see the scribe lines. So we'll just mark that on all of them. Could use some Dicam, it takes a little longer for that to dry. And from there, I'm just taking, I set my combination square for 1 inch. It's the halfway point of 2-inch tubing. So I just scribe a line on all 4 of them. And then we'll reset the combination square for 4 inches and mark 4 inches up. And, using a scribe, it kind of scores a line into the metal, and it just makes a nice spot. You can rest a pretty fine center punch in there, and you can find those pretty quick. So we'll mark these out, and then we'll center punch them. Now, using a spring-loaded center punch, you can just kind of feel your way, and you can go right where those scribe lines are. So you find right the intersection of the scribe lines, and you just put a point in. It doesn't leave a deep enough mark in there for a drill bit to follow, so then I'll follow up with a heavier punch and just put a bigger punch hole in it. And then from here, we'll move over to the drill press. Now here I'm just lining up that punch mark with this DeWalt drill bit. It's a Pilot Point drill bit. I love using them. I buy them in the Cobalt series, and I use 1/2-inch a lot, so I have quite a few of them. But they work really, really good. It's in a drill press, and just set your drill press vise up, or clamp I should say, and take your time, use some cutting fluid. Don't push hard enough where you stall the thing out, and make short work of it. So we'll do this to all 4 legs, and then take them over to the other table and get a countersink bit to deburr the holes. So, I just chucked up a small deburring bit, or 3/4 deburring bit, and I buy these also at the our favorite tool place in Tennessee when we're there. So I probably buy 4 or 5 of these a year, and just get them up there. They work really good. Slow speed, or you get chatter, but other than that, they work fairly well for knocking off a drill burr. And of course, the final step is to clean everything really good. We use acetone or lacquer thinner, and then right after that, we'll take an angle grinder and get down to bright shiny metal and get ready to assemble this thing, or get everything welded up, ready to go.
All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm laying out the tubes and just making sure our tack welds don't hit anything. So there's a couple tack welds down in the bottom. We got a little too close to the corner. So all I'm gonna do is grind a little notch into the end of this tube, and that'll easily take care of all those. So I don't see but a, oop, it ain't gonna be right there. We tried to stay away from the corners, and Mike did a really good job of putting the fillet weld in there. So we'll do that right quick. So let me grind the angles onto these. We'll make sure this is right, and then we'll go ahead and get our measurements for our three stretchers, I should say, the 2 1 3/4 parts that go through here. We'll do that, and then we'll cut the 1 3/4 legs, drill all the holes, and if Mike comes in, then we'll get it all welded up. So hang tight, we'll be right back.
All right, so I'm marking the corners, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we know how to go back, how it goes, where they go back onto the table. And then you just take an angle grinder. Since there's tacks in those corners, we're just knocking a bevel on it so it'll go over those tacks. So, a little time on the angle grinder, make sure it fits up good, and make short work of it.
All right, now that we've got the bevels ground and got everything fitted up really good, I clamped it up. You can never have too many clamps, so just get you a wide assortment of stuff. I didn't think I would like these, but they've come in handy. I really like this style vice grip clamp better. They're just heavier duty, but I've had these for years, and even the newer ones don't quite feel like that. But either way, it's clamped in place. And what I need to do now is measure the stretchers. So the stretchers are going to come up about 6 inches or so, and they're going to be right here. But you don't measure here. Woodworking, metalworking, whatever, put your thing together. The distance here, all this stuff is square because you got it clamped in down here. So, your stretcher measurements need to be here. It'll come out right at the top. If you measure here and say it's, I don't know, 1/4 inch wider or narrower, it makes the legs do this or this. So measure it all down here, and then cut your pieces there, and then fasten them here, and it'll square everything up. You'll get that done. What we'll do, more than likely, this is the way I like to do it, is we'll flip all this stuff over and tack it in down here, and then put the pieces in up there. We'll see with Mike. Oh, you know what? Scratch that idea. We have the mini squares from Fireball Tools, so we'll break those bad boys out. That's what they're designed to do. We'll put them right here, clamp them on, clamp all our stretchers to it, leave this like it is, tack it in place, tack everything in place, let the clamps go, and let Mike do his thing. So we're only going to do 3 1 3/4, and then we'll get there. So let me go cut that stuff, and then I'll bring you back, and we'll show you how we fit those pieces together. Be right back. All right. I had to bring you back. I had the way I do woodworking, and I don't know if I haven't seen many people do it. So to get accurate measurements between points, especially with radius corners, and this applies to molding and wood molding that you're putting in a house if you're running trim, anything that's got radiuses on here, it's a tough, you'll see the old pros, and I still do it for framing and stuff. I'll come in here and you can eyeball that measurement. I got 33, 39, and I'm gonna call it 13/16, 39 and 13/16. A more accurate way to do it is you put down your tape measure. Let me get my eyeballs on so I can see. So I have 20 inches right here. So I'm going to put me a mark on 20 inches. I flip my tape around and I'm going to go the other way. So now I have 19 11/16. So that's 39 11/16. You know, if I'd have cut that just off my eyeball measurement, you know, I'd have been 1/8 long. You know, might see 3/4 doing that, but in wood it doesn't matter. This, it matters a little more. You know, so we're going to do that. So like I said, I pulled this down, butted it up to this post, marked me a mark at 20 inches, spun it around, butted it up against that post. Now I have 19 11/16. Little simple math tells me I need 39 11/16. So we'll cut that one. And that's all, you know. I look at YouTube as sharing, you know, how people do things differently. Like I said, I come from a woodworking background, but a lot of the measuring and stuff comes through this. Not as accurate. I got to say, you know, I don't break out a micrometer when I'm putting in crown molding. But anyway, you know, so it's just a neat little trick. So you can do it this way too. You know, you can kind of eyeball that one at, if I had to eyeball it, I'd say 15 3/4. But we're going to do the same thing with this measurement. Unfortunately, I got to get my back to you. So 8 falls right at the edge of this web. So we'll come back here. 8. Oh, it is 15 3/4. Dead nuts. So I know I need a 15 3/4 for that side. And if the Certiflat laser is square, you know, this one should be the same thing. So we'll come down here. And that one's also 15 3/4. So we'll cut 2 15 3/4 and one 39 11/16. And then we'll come back. We'll clean all that stuff up. I'll go ahead and dust me off a good spot here for Mike to weld, and we'll get that fitted. All right, we're back. Mike, come back over. So he's going to get ready to start tacking. Busted out the Fireball Mega or Mini. No, what do you call these things? Not the Mega Square. It's the, I don't know. It's squares. Jason squares. If you haven't used these, you ought to get you a set. They're awesome. So we got it set up. We set this stretcher 8 inches from the floor, so you can get your broom under it, because you know you don't want to hang up your push broom. And like I said, the outside legs are 2-inch square, and this is 1 3/4 square, and we just kind of set it up in the middle. It makes for a pretty weld out here. You know, hopefully. You know, I trust them. So anyway, we'll do that. So we got this part in place. We'll tack this in. We'll put the 2 15 3/4 pieces in, and we'll tack those in place. And I'm trying to get you some more footage of him welding, because he's good at it. And then I've already cut the inside pieces. So these are 30-inch long, 1 3/4. You know, I cut this one 29 inches. So we're going to measure. We're going to leave this right where it is. So it's a 3/16 shy of 30 inches. So it's what, 29 13/16. And that's to make up for the height at the top. We'll use a transfer punch and mark the first hole, and then we're going to measure 4 inches from there and drill holes. And then that way, you know, the first one, really don't need to drill the first one. You know, it's going to be sitting on the ground, other than if you pick it up. Yeah. So, and it has a place to store the pegs. So you lift it up 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches, all the way to the height that, you know, from 30 desk height to 46 stand-up height. So that's what our plans are. So let me reposition some cameras, and he'll get his stuff ready. I need to do a little cleanup because there's some oil on this stuff. And then we'll bring you back. Don't drop your pencil.
All right, so while Mike tacks everything in place here, I inserted one of the legs into the legs that are on the table there and used a transfer punch to transfer a mark onto the leg. And from that, I went ahead and laid out all the holes. So we had 4-inch holes that we'll have to drill through there. And on those legs, we went ahead and drilled those 9/16. So it wouldn't be such of a bind to get that 1/2-inch pin or bolt or whatever we decide to put through there in there. And then it's just more as the same. Using the spring-loaded center punch and then grabbing a bigger punch, punching holes. Then taking it over the drill press, drill out all the holes, come back and deburr everything. Help Mike when he needs it.
Mm-hmm. Burn it. Oh, you're not gonna believe this.
And this is the main reason we wanted everything adjustable. Here he is using the wooden chair that my wife's father built years ago, and then we switched over to a normal office chair, and then a shorter bar stool, a taller bar stool, and then finally standing up. And that's the main reason we wanted it adjustable, because we wanted to be comfortable while we worked.
All right, so that concludes the build of the new welding table for the shop. As you can see, it's adjustable from desk height all the way to stand-up height, and I'm pretty sure this might be my favorite one for what I normally do.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot more comfortable than welding on that table over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Standing up. Moving
Standing
around.
up. So, yep. So that's it. Would I recommend the Certiflat table? Yes. Very easy to go together. You know, it went together quicker than making all the legs for it. So, either way. Anyway, I'm sure you'll see this in many, many more videos. So, until next time, see ya.